Chris Anderson, but I want you to meet the real Chris Anderson. Dad, come on up. He don't like to be on stage. I see if you want to say something.
I want to thank everyone for coming out as well. I want to thank the cast. Y'all guys did a great job. And I want to tell you that I'm grateful to have a son. The turn of events in my life, I tell you, I was so surprised and shocked when I ran into Belinda and she said, we have a son. I was like, I didn't know what to feel. I was shocked, I was scared. I called my wife on the phone and I said, honey, you're not gonna believe what happened. And she said, what? I said, ran into a young lady and she said, I got a son 27 years old. So my wife, I couldn't believe the response that she gave me. She said, sit down and talk to her, and if it's your son, we're going to accept him in our life. She's not able to be here today, but I just want to say, what a woman. They accept that. Ever since Vince and I met each other, we've been nothing but not just father and son, but best friend as well.
Hi guys, this is Real Talk with Monica. Guys, I'm glad you tuned in, guys. This is going to be another hot episode only on Real Talk with Monica, guys. What did I tell you? This girl is doing it in VA, baby. And this time we're going to continue with a series on unspoken artists here in the Richmond Cap City, guys. So tonight it was a great pleasure to have Vincent Ellis White. Vincent had wrote a wonderful book. It's called Finding Chris, My Father. And let me tell you something. Real Talk know how to do it, baby. Because guess what? We connected at a Scrayer University alumni event. And man, I said, I have to have you on my show. And after that, I was like, this guy is amazing. And from start to finish, when you read this book, you're going to be truly inspired from a man that had been raised by a single mother for so many years, up to an age of 17. And now he found his father, and now he's the type of man that grew into a man to father his son. So this is truly an inspiration, because Real Talk with Monica wants to do a great title of this type of topic, because it's so many times in our African American community we don't discuss issues like this. And I think it's about time. And what did I tell you? We got to have some real talk, guys. So stay back, stay tuned, and I'm gonna let you meet the handsome, talented, up and coming rising star, guys, Mr. Vincent Ellis White. Welcome to Real Talk.
Monica, thank you so much for having me. Oh my God, I hope I can live up to all those wonderful compliments that you had to say about me. But I'm very glad to be here. I appreciate it. Very humbled. Thank you.
Man, well, I just knew the connection, and I had to put you on the show. We need to have more African Americans, males, as a positive role model. So many times you see so many epidemics where we're getting shot unarmed, we're in the jail system, we're not taking care of our responsibilities. Deadbeat dads with not paying the child support. So I wanted you to be on here to speak to some of these young guys out here that need some inspiration, or some little youngins that might need some guidance. So tell the Real Talk viewers a little bit about yourself.
Well, this is your boy, Vincent Ellis White. I am born and raised right here in Richmond, Virginia. So I'm definitely a native of Richmond. I graduated from Meadowbrook High School out in Chesterfield. I grew up in Southside Richmond, migrated between Southside Richmond, Chesterfield, West End area. I got my undergrad degree, my bachelor's in mass communications from Norfolk State University. Also I got my master's degree from Strayer University in education, have an executive graduate certificate in business management, a bunch of different degrees and papers, but I'm just as authentic as I can be. Always a person that's willing to interact with the community. I love my city, Richmond. Y'all know we on the rise, and I'm excited to be a part of what's happening in the community. And as Monica stated, definitely got to start working from the ground up and trying to help these youth and uplift these youth to be able to be a positive mentor for them instead of them seeing all these negative things that you were just stating that are very real, but we want to get them the other side as well.
And you know what, Vincent, you made very good points, because as you being well educated, and we need this type of, this kind of role model in our community. It's so many times, these guys look up to these rappers. Ain't nothing wrong. Everybody can be a 50 Cent or Jay-Z, but sometimes you got to hit the books, baby.
No doubt.
And it pays off. Yeah. So that's why Finding Chris, My Father, you hear me? This is a wonderful book, guys. And I want to first start off and asking you a few questions about the book, Chris. Chris, I'm just so, Vincent, I'm just so excited, because it's like when I read this book, I had to stop and say, who is Finding Chris? Because it was almost like a play on words. And then when I read it, so let me ask you something. Where I started reading that really got me going was when you started talking about the black male. How back in slavery times that the black male used to be running off, and the white oppressor, like the white slave master, he kind of controlled and feared for the black man to, hey, I'm going to take you away from your family, move you or sell you to another ranch. And you made some kind of, almost like a symbolic memory to think, you know what? We broken apart. We don't have that togetherness no more in the family. Yeah. We don't. Yeah,
and to be clear, my great friend and brother from another, his name is Deron Chavis. Yeah, that's
Brother Manifesto.
Brother Manifesto. That's my guy. And he's a very close friend of mine. I reached out to him and asked him to write the forewords because that's what he does. Like he can break it down for you. He gave a great analogy. Y'all got to check out Finding Chris and read the forewords. But I mean, that's right. And so what Deron talked about in that intro and those forewords is that they were removing the head of the household. Nowadays we're not even in the home, so to be, and it's subjective if we're the head anymore, but back then we would have had a household, so you remove the head, you cut off the head, and you watch the family start to scatter and go crazy. So that was a plot of the enemy then, and it's a plot of the enemy now, really. I mean, you remove the dad, you got dad that's not in the home, dad is incarcerated, dads that can't find jobs. I mean, we can go deep on that too, but that's happened. It was happening then, and it was tormenting the families and tearing the families apart, and also it's happening now.
And the mother was the home of the household that kept things running, because she had to please the white oppressor slave master, and then she had to take care of her home. Then she had to look at the white slave master's wife. So she had a lot of multiple things, and that black African American guy was gone from the home.
Right.
And where the guidance at? But that mother was staying in there, doing all of this stuff and putting the things on the backbone. But I like what in the manifesto, the forewords, what it mentioned about how the transition. And if you compare to what went on down to here, and then after the civil rights movement, then you start seeing the rise of divorce, the rise of single mothers not getting married, the rise of the single family income just rose all the way up.
That's true.
So I'm glad you mentioned that, great points like that. You put some good statistics, Brother Manifesto, it had me going. And then it led you all the way into the beginning of your book. And I like that. I like how you had to transition and make you think as a reader, thinking, okay, you got me guessing, thinking, now what's going to happen now? And when you mentioned about Christmas, you made me thought about Christmas, and I was running up there the stairs.
You going deep already now. That's like midway in the book, but it's a big deal. It's a big deal. And I started with that. I reached out to Deron Chavis because I knew he would bring that historic element to it, but you need that background information. And then once you see from whence we came to where we are now, then I take you into just one story of a gazillion out there that just and I highlight my story growing up here, born and raised in Richmond, Virginia. But I wanted you to get that history, and that's why I reached out to my man Deron Chavis, and then to bring you into my story. Of growing up, here in Richmond and dealing with fatherlessness, and all those statistics that he listed were very shocking and astonishing. But the thing is that there's a current statistic that 1 out of every 3 African Americans grow up in their life at some point dealing with fatherlessness, and that's a current statistic. So he talked about the past, and then it's a shame that we move forward all these years and we still dealing with things like that. But we also still dealing with things you mentioned earlier, police brutality, all kind of other things. But it took it right into, it was a perfect segue to me. It took it right into my story. Being just a spot in the midst of all these things that's happening, and how even though those things happened back then, it's still affected. The traces of that is affecting me.
The DNA,
Yeah.
And let me ask you something. How did you feel? Did you feel like you was the man of the house growing up?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't no other man in the house.
Yeah. So, you felt that weight on you,
But and think about that weight. Imagine if you're 6 years old, you 10 years old, you're 12 years old. You're the man. You're the male in the house, but are you a man in the house?
Yeah.
A lot of young kids and young adults are being forced into that role too early, and so you're not able to perform at an optimum rate. If you're 6 years old, how are you gonna be a man in the house?
Yeah.
And sadly, that's because there's no father in the home. But also, we got guys that, let's say, a father knows he's about to get incarcerated.
Right.
He'll sit his son down, and it's with good intent.
Right.
Sit his son down and say, "Look, Daddy about to go away for a while. You the man in the house now."
Yeah.
I get why he's saying that. He's saying, protect your mom, protect your sister, protect everybody else. But realistically, that's not the man of the house. There's no other man in there. But what I'm saying is that if that person's 8 years old, that's not a man yet. The brain ain't even developed properly to do man things. Don't make me go deep. I got my glasses on.
Let me blow the man.
Let me take these off. Let me take these off. I can, okay, we back now.
But you know what? When I was saying that, but then I can see that, and then you had your little brother. So I can see that role on you, and then you got somebody else that's watching everything you're doing.
Yeah. And we're 13 years apart, so he was watching me in my later teenage years when I was dealing with everything, still dealing with everything heavy. So trying to be a role model to him, but how can I be a great role model when I'm dealing with all these things I'm dealing with?
And that's what I was going to ask you. What male influence? I know that you put in the book about your grandmother, and I can see that because I'm close to my grandmother, so I know. Khari, she whooped your tail, man. She didn't care. She raised you like like a man, woman. She was all of that in one. But what father figures that you had around, like any uncles or any best friends? Like maybe you gang up with some other brothers, and their fathers had helped out.
Yeah, well, I had my grandfather. So, anybody that's watching this from Southside Richmond, my grandfather owned Billy's Seafood.
Oh, okay.
And so, anybody from Southside back in the day, probably got to be maybe 30 and up. But,
30 and up.
But Billy's Seafood in Southside was like the crab spot, the seafood spot in the hood. My grandfather was very much respected in the community. Like everybody knew he didn't play. Yeah. He looked after our family. He'd come out the door with that pistol in a minute and let you know what time it is. That's just being for real. So, but he taught me how to gain that respect, as a man. He provided for his household, and I don't think he had the education like that either. So he was still providing for his household. So I did gain that early on, but he passed when I was 13.
Right.
So he passed when I was 13, and I didn't really have any other males in my life at that pivotal age. You know what I mean? So I was in the Boys and Girls Club, and so I had positive, influences. Like a big brother. Yeah, but I'm saying somebody that's in the home that can directly affect me every day. Once my grandfather passed, it was just ladies. Powerful, strong ladies, but ladies.
Yeah. And you know what? My nephew, Mark Barlow Jr., his father just passed from senseless murder. He was gunned down. Hopefully we can get the right people and persons that's culpable for his murder. But he's going to grow up at 6 years old without a father. And I worry sometimes because, my sister is good. We try to be the backbone. But it's nothing really like a father or some type of male that can teach a man certain man things
For
to
sure.
do. And before you found out, did you felt like that you was missing out on some things?
Yeah, I knew that there were certain things I was missing out on, but I don't think that you can fully process it at that young age. So, for example, like, you need a male in the household to teach you how to fight and ride a bike, but that's the basic things. But it for me, it was really looking at hindsight.
Right.
So it's hard to get it in the forefront because you don't know everything, especially if he wasn't there. You don't know what you're missing. But I saw other kids that had a father in the home, and I still didn't recognize what I was missing. But when I became a father, and when I got older, and when I started working in the human service field, and when I started seeing statistics, how, for example, like a young woman that grows up without a father, a statistic may be promiscuity, or looking for dating older males because they remind them of their father. Well, that's a statistic, a symptom of, fatherlessness.
Yeah.
So there's symptoms with guys as well. We might turn to gangs, or we might harbor our feelings because we weren't taught to, articulate them properly. It's just little things like that that looking back in hindsight, I saw how disadvantaged I was without having a father in the home, as well as the natural things that's discussed in the beginning of the book, provider, protector. I had to learn those things on my own, or have my mother try her best to teach me those things. You know what I mean? So
when did you feel, I don't know how to say it politely, or did you feel like anger towards her that she had kept you this like a secret for so long? Or
yeah. I mean, you don't gotta be polite. We gonna deal with it for what it is because you said it's real talk.
Yeah,
it's
real talk. Yeah.
All right, so let me get my glasses back on. So, I'm just joking.
Yeah.
So, but my mom. I mean, kind of dive into the story there, but I grew up, in a single, family home, and my mom, I mean, very, very strong black woman. Like, she's the reason I didn't stray too far left where I could have. Yeah. All my friends were, that type of thing. Like, but she was just a praying woman, very, faithful and, strong. And so when Grandpa was gone, and when I didn't have a male figure in the home on the regular, I was leaning on Mom. Yeah. And like a lot of these young guys are. And so the thing is, my mom shared with me when I was 16. This is diving in the story. She shared with me at 16 that the father that so let's back up for a minute, because we didn't go right into it. So to not confuse anybody, I grew up without a father in the home, but I knew of a father, and he was incarcerated. So my mom, not wanting to share with me that my father was incarcerated, would take me to visit him in jail, and she would tell me that he was in school. And hearing that, it sounds so crazy, but it's a lot of parents that's lying for the other parent. He's at work, he's away at school, because you don't want to taint the image of that child. So I get it as a parent. It's not the best method, but I get it. So Mom was sharing with me that, Daddy was in school. I was going to visit him 2-3 times a week. I didn't see any jail bars. I would sit in front of him at a picnic table, and we, interact. We could hug and joke. He introduced us to his friends, so I loved it. After a while, I wondered, I smartened up. Why can't Daddy come home? Why is he not here in the house? And he would come home periodically, but he was a habitual offender. So he was popping in and out of that thing, just do something, go right back. But the bomb was dropped on me at age 16 when Mom sat me down and said, Vincent, she called me Lil O at the time. Lil O, she said, your dad. I'm like, yeah. And I'm thinking she about to give me some news, like he about to get out. She's like, no, listen, that's not your biological father. And that was a bomb drop, because I had like a love-hate relationship for him. I loved him. That was the only dad I knew. And he was fun, excited. I loved him to death. But I was developing this resentment for him because he wasn't there. Mom, providing for this house with a single income, I'm out there wilding, acting crazy, she trying to discipline me, but you know how it is. It's something about when that male voice come and say, stop, and you're going to stop right away, versus your mom, you're going to test her and all this stuff. So, I knew different things that I could do. So, she dropped that bomb on me, and after that, me and her, to answer your original question, as close as we were, that put a small strain on our relationship, because not just because of the information she had just dropped on me, but I was like, Mom, you lied to me.
Tell me,
You know what I mean? Like, it's a two-part thing. There's this big chunk of information you just hit me with, bow.
Yeah.
But then, Mom, how you lie to me? Because as a kid, we look at our parents like they are the 100% truth tellers.
Yeah,
You
and
know what
it's
I
like
mean?
the Bible. When you go to church and, hey, one of the 10 commandments, thou shalt not lie. You know, you just was raised certain ways, and to feel like your parents kind of deceive you and it felt like it was a lie, that, wait a minute, you taught me to be this person, but that's not really the person I am, you know, in a sense, because I don't know this other half of me.
No, that's great, because you know something that I actually mentioned in the book is the person that I grew up thinking was my dad.
Yeah.
When I would go visit him in jail, he'd say, do good in school. Don't be fighting. Don't be acting up. Don't be stealing. Don't end up in jail. And after a while, when I realized where he was at, plenty of people would say, how dare you tell me this? And you're sitting right there.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we can't just say things. We got to, you know, walk it out. We got to action. You know what I mean? So I think that's why I still was acting up and stealing and just acting stupid out there in these Richmond streets, because I couldn't, you know, what was my example?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that bomb was dropped.
You know, and you made a great point, because a lot of these guys that's in jail, and I said, what would make them go to jail in a sense when they got a family, a good woman? You know, is it pressure or something? You know, what is it that would make them say, okay, I know some people love jail. You know, they like to stay in there, and it's crazy. But you got beautiful children that need your guidance and need a man in home, and then you got a beautiful woman. I just don't understand it.
Oh, well, I mean, I can't speak for. I mean, I can't speak for people that, you know, will go to jail. I mean, outside looking in, you know, we can easily say you got this beautiful woman, you got this family, you're raising a kid. It don't make sense to go to jail. I get it, but being the guy that I am and working in the community, I work for the city as a family service worker. I'm a foster care worker. I work with the fatherhood group in Richmond and Henrico, and hearing those brothers that are currently facing jail time or just got out, or they got an F on their record, a felony, and hearing them talk and hearing it from their side versus, you know, maybe our side, you know, I can see from their perspective. Wow, you know, for example, and I'm just picking an example. If you don't have any education and you grew up in a broken home and your parents, your dad pushing you out there like, son, I hustled. Why don't you 12 years old now, it's time for you to go there, because that's when I went out there. They don't say, son, by the way, you know, you face this strong possibility of jail or death. Get out there, son, be like me, because that's what I did. I hustled. So now little man get out there 12 years old. And 9 times out of 10, he gonna get arrested. He might get, you know, shot, whatever. Now he's starting his record early on. But his mentality becomes this mentality like, I gotta get out there. It could be like dad, or if dad wasn't there, be like my peers that's in the street. Or it could be, I don't have anything else because I'm not in school like that, or my situation isn't ideal. So one thing I know how to do is get this money. I can do that. You know, I might not do the math in school, but I can get everything right out here. And so, first of all, show you that they got some smarts there. It just got to be applied in the proper places. But secondly, they don't look at that consequence. The need or the want, the desire at that moment is bigger than what's on the other side of that cop pull me over, or if I get shot. You know what I mean? And so what I like to work on is just changing the mentality of these young brothers and even these adults, these seasoned adults. Let's be clear, y'all seasoned. We leave it alone. But for real, because some people, that mentality stays with them from 12 to 18 to 24 to 36 to 44. Don't we know that 50-year-old that's still hustling out there? So it's crazy.
Still sitting up in that club thinking they still young guys, you know, and, you know what, Vince, you have brought some good points, because you've been in the system and you see how things will develop. But you know what? I want to get back to this point. When you was wilding out, and you know, you could have went to a wrong direction, went to another path. You could have went down to a path of no man's world to say, hey, I want to be the big guy. I want to do what I want to do. I'm not listening to my mom. she lied to me, I'm going to do that thing, you know, and just took off and went another direction. What saved you?
Let me be clear again. These got to come off now. God saved me. It's that moment. This that moment where I got a bold-faced God. My mom kept me in the church. She kept me in there. Look, I tried to be sick. I tried to challenge her with the questions. My mom said, "You in my house, you can go to church." Now here's the thing. I was going to church and the seeds was being planted, but I wasn't really living it. So when you say I could have went left, I did go left. But I say God because God saved me. Like, listen, statute of limitation is gone. It's been some time. I was out there just acting crazy.
Real talk, guys. Real talk.
Real talk, live on TV, looking y'all in the face. But I didn't get into real serious trouble. Like, I hate to say it, but I was kind of good at it, which was scary because when you're good at it and you're not getting in trouble, you go higher, and you go higher, and you go higher. At some point, you're going to get hit. So the things that I was doing, like, I probably should still be in jail right now. So I went left, but I firmly believe that God kept me for a reason. He popped me a couple times and he threw me in jail for a weekend, and that's in there too. So you know, I got my street stripe for the weekend. But
that's what I wanted to talk about.
I did
because these people need to know, because some people can have a couple of strikes in an early age and say, "Oh, I'm done," and then just keep on that path. So, I wanted you to hit on that.
No, I did. I mean, and look, I'm always real talk. It ain't about the show. I got misdemeanors. You know what I mean? I had a no process thing that could have took my life seriously left. But since all those things was happening, and I did some of those things for years, so I did go left, but God kept me. As I got older and I matured and I saw that wasn't the way to go, it's a blessing because I think God kept me to get me to the point where I'm writing the Finding Chris, My Father book. You know, I work for the city now. I work for the state. I work for the government. You can't work for those places with a felony on your record. You can't even get in places with misdemeanors.
I know. That's why I wanted to say, I want this testimony to be heard.
I'm getting excited. I'm telling you, like, God is good. Like, I was able to get things removed off my record. I was able to get my mind focused to being legal, you know, and just, like I said before, those guys that's doing all that math on the street, but they're not doing it in class, it don't mean they stupid. They just need to apply it in the right place. So me, I knew how to mastermind doing certain things in the streets and just getting in trouble. Now I took that and flipped it to a Finding Chris, My Father. Flipped it to a play, as we're gonna talk about. Flipped it to films and books.
It's hot,
so but that's faith and I do these motivational videos all the time on social media, and I speak about divine purpose. And I don't even know if that's where we're going, but just since we're hitting it.
No, since you're here to tell everybody how to check you out on Facebook, tell them where you're at, because somebody needs some inspiration. And I'm going to get them to call, guys. If any guys that want to call, 804-915-5202, please call, guys, because this guy can probably uplift y'all, guys. So y'all's looking at that TV. Come on, guys. Y'all need some help out here. This guy's the man to get the things done, guys, because it's always a hope and everything. But go ahead, Vincent. Tell people how to find some of your videos on Facebook.
Just, you know, social media. Just quick plug. You can find me. Look up my name, Vincent Ellis White. Twitter's Vince Ellis White. Just look up my name, Vincent Ellis White. You'll find me. But I do these inspirational videos. I don't plan them at all. They're all impulse. I get, you know, a message from the Most High inserted here, and I just put it out. You know what I mean? And I speak about a lot of different things: relationships, fatherlessness, just different jewels that I have. I call them jewels all the time. People watch my videos, but overall, I do all of this because I feel that it's my divine purpose. And so, when you have a divine purpose, that means God has this thing that's ordained for you to fulfill, and a destination for you to reach, regardless. Now, it don't mean it's a straight path. It don't mean you just gonna cruise through that, you know, that road. My road was crazy. Now, God might have had the road designed for this, but I sure made it do all this and valleys and mountains. I mean, just crazy. because I was stubborn, I wasn't listening.
Yeah.
But at some point I started to get it, as I started to mature. And so I recognized my divine purpose. And I said, if I can reach, these young kids, if I can reach these adults, these fathers, these single mothers, everybody in Richmond community, if I have this skill that I was just starting to recognize I had it, right?
Yeah.
So now I'm recognizing, but I can't be out there stealing. I can't be out there fighting and mouthing off the people because I'm a hypocrite then.
Yeah.
So I had to leave all that alone. And the beautiful thing about divine purpose is that I'm going to hit that mark regardless, but now God has allowed me to do those things so that guess what? I'm relatable.
Yeah.
That's my favorite word. I'm relatable. That's my favorite word because when I go talk to youth at a high school, I spoke at Meadowbrook, I spoke at Norfolk State, all my alma maters.
Yeah.
When I speak to them, they don't think I'm some squeaky clean kid come up there and I'm like, oh yes, I got all these degrees. No, I've been to jail.
Yeah.
I stole, like I fought, assault, like crazy stuff has happened, but I'm still here and I'm on the right path. And so if I can do it, you can do it too. But guess what? I don't even want you to go through it because you might not make it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's stay on that divine purpose. So it's just a beautiful thing. And I think once you make it through all those things and you recognize your divine purpose, you can't just sit on that and just be chilling like I made it. You gotta give back.
Yeah.
I gotta reach out to parents. That's why I speak to these fatherhood groups, because I walk in there and I let them know, hey, I dealt with these same issues you're dealing with, but I'm still dealing with them. I'm still fighting for custody for my son. I'm still doing this and that. It's relatable. Once you're relatable, people drop that wall.
You know what, Vincent, it's going to be another topic that I want to talk about. You hit on that part about how male figures that they go through the custody battle, and 9 out of 10, the court systems agree with the woman.
Lord, look, don't get me started.
And I don't agree with that all the time, because a lot of these women out here, and I'm going to call y'all out, that y'all want that child support. You don't take care of them kids. You get them nails. You get their hair fixed. You do everything else. And then you look at the kid, they get snotty nose, hair not cut, and then you turn around and say, oh, child support, that ain't enough. And I know some guys are paying out the yin-yang, man. I was looking at, who was it, these celebrities, and see, that's something you got to watch, man. When you get up there, I can already see it. God said you're going to be up there. And then they're going to turn around and take you to court and get some more money, but then you can't even see your child. That's crazy. I don't understand that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a, I don't want to get started on that. Like I used to work at child support enforcement.
Yeah.
So I mean, not only have I directly dealt with these things, but I now in turn went back and worked at these places. So I was able to be on the outside looking in, also be a witness to it, and then be a witness to the inner workings of it. So, I'm a current child support payer, but now I have shared physical custody of my son. When I tell you that I fought so hard to get shared physical custody of my son, but I was paying child support for a while. So when I walk in them fatherhood groups, I let them know, because they start complaining right away. I say, oh, listen, I'm in there with you, bro. But working in child support, I got to see these fathers that were coming in there that are actively involved in their child's life. And check this out. Mama was keeping him hindered. Mama was putting up barriers. Mama was providing roadblocks. Mama was calling, making false statements about daddy. So I already knew that there were some real good fathers out there. Of course, I knew some. I'm one. But to watch all these guys come in, let me tell you something. With a hardened face, when they first walk in there, once we start talking about their child support, breaking it down, and they want to see their child, but they can't because of some child support stuff, and mama holding the child back, and this big 300-pound man with a hard face busts out crying in front of me, I know it's real. But that's love for their child, and it's not just love for their child, but it's when you facing barrier after barrier after barrier after barrier. That weigh a lot on you. It breaks you down. But the beautiful thing about divine purpose and being relatable is that I believe that God put me in that place at child support because it was only like 4 or 5 men working there. So you got all these women coming in talking to, being real, talking to a man, like, and she may not understand the plight or the struggle. But when I walk in there and he like, bruh, I got XYZ going on, I'm looking like, look, me too. So this is what you need to do, bruh. And I break it down for him. And I'm real with him. You know what I mean? And they respect that. And so then they leave with a different mindset than they came in with. That's divine purpose. See, divine purpose is not just about that long journey. It's little small journeys too. Each person that walk in child support, I help them different perspective on child support and on fatherhood. Then I'm meeting people with internally in child support that's dealing with you know, their own situations in real life that I was able to affect with my book. This divine purpose is a real deal. I'm trying to tell you.
You know, I'm glad you said a lot of things because, you know, I'm not going to get into that personal stuff with the legal system with your situation. But how do you get to a place where you battled in the court system to now, okay, we got to share custody, now we got to work as a partnership for the child? And I think that needs to be speak about too because you know, you done battle so hard in the court system, this person might get angry, but then you forget the child is getting left out, you know? So how do you get to that happy medium that, okay, we got to work together on this after we didn't battle that?
Well, listen, first of all, that's an ongoing happy medium for me. But, I mean, I've had all the trainings and all that stuff, and so it's very real. It needs to be the happy medium because here's the thing, it's supposed to be best interest of the child. And you will hear mama say it, you will hear daddy say it, but 8 times out of 10, it's usually kind of catered to their own situation. Best interest of the child is what the focus needs to be. And so a lot of times these children, you think that they're in the child's mind, and they are, but they can pick up on some things. So for example, if they see mom and daddy doing this drop off at this location, but they don't ever speak. You don't think your child don't see that your mom and daddy don't ever speak? How is my mommy here and my daddy here and they're my parents, but they don't speak? I'm confused. And so then mama at home on the phone, your daddy, blah, blah, blah. So now, here's what I learned at my job and at my different places I work at. When son or daughter hears mommy talking bad about daddy, what mommy don't know is that that's the child is taking that as you talking bad about me. And flip side, if daddy on the phone like mama won't let me see you, blah, 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 or your mama ain't, you know, son or daughter is saying, is that how he feel about me? I had to learn that, just being real. So we got to be mindful of what we say around these kids, but also we got to try to work together for the greater good, which is best interest of the child. And these things really affect these kids. Like there's trauma from the court battles. Hey, let's run through something. If a child 4 years old and he's staying with mama, he's seeing dad on weekends, but then something happened, there's a shift, and now daddy got custody when the child's 6, 7 years old. Now son don't know why, because he wasn't in court, because he couldn't be in court. He don't know why, but now he got to stay with daddy more than mama. You don't think that's confusing to the little boy or daughter? So imagine if we could just all work these things out and just be the bigger person for the greater good of the child and kind of keep it out that system. Sometimes you need to get in the system. You just need a judge to intervene. I mean, I'll be say that, but overall, that judge don't know neither one of y'all. And for 15 minutes up to 2 hours, they give you time to explain yourself. And hopefully you can convince the judge one way or the other. But imagine if you two had that mature head on and best interest and greater good head on of my child that we both claim we love, then we could come together for the child's greater good. And that works wonders in the child's life. Wonders, especially me being a foster care worker for the city now and working in child support. Like I see the effects. Negative and positive. The beauty of it though, y'all, is that when I see a dad come in and he's not in the child's life, we push them through their fatherhood program, and then I've been there 16 weeks later when they graduate out their program and they can recite back to you different things that they've learned and started to apply in their child's life, and their relationship became better from being involved with the fatherhood program. Whether it was mandated or voluntarily, once they got through that program, they learned a lot. That's the beautiful thing. So the good thing is if you can recognize, you know, that you may not be operating at your optimum capacity, but you're willing to get better for the sake of your family. That's a beautiful thing.
Well, you know, I'm glad you said all of that because I had, you know, a regular doctor that comes on my show, Dr. Mary K. Pisani. She's a great psychiatrist. And how, you know, we talked a little bit about it, about the epidemic that a lot of African Americans don't want to see counseling or see a professional. I think it's needed in certain situations, and I don't know of all, but mostly that when a child and the mother don't get along, and it's like the battle of the court custody, and then the mom feel resentment because in her mind, she don't want, if you're not going to be with her, you ain't going to see the child, you know, be back as their nucleus. And I guess that mother needs counseling in a way, you know, in the sense that, hey, you know, this is not how it's going to be. We thought we could work things out. We thought we can have a relationship, child here. Let's get to the best interest of the child. So stop being selfish. And I think sometimes that happens with most mothers. They want to be selfish because, in a sense, they probably grew up with a two-parent home. And, well, my father, I never had a child out of wedlock. We supposed to get married. And sometimes it don't happen like that. And they hold resentment because of that male.
I mean, that's definitely a symptom that can happen. I wouldn't say, you know, it's you know, all the mothers. I mean, it's very general to say that, but that is a symptom. And so, not to plug anybody, but I mean, just as being real, it's something I was a part of. The Date with Dad weekend by Camp Diva. I loved being a part of that last year because what happened is they catered this weekend to the daddy and the daughter doing all these different things, participating in, you know, events at the YMCA. Just, I mean, it's so many events, plays. I mean, a daddy-daughter dance where you're spending time with your daughter, treating her like a princess. But what I want to highlight is that there's this other piece that, you know, sometimes when the cameramen come and they film this whole thing, they don't catch this piece. There's a part that I love that Angela Patton, the founder, did. She takes the mothers and she has like a little powwow session with the mothers, and she'll have the mothers sit around and the mothers will, they'll discuss like why the importance of the mothers allowing the fathers in the child's life, because a lot of mothers have resentment. A lot of mothers are confused. Well, she's 9 years old. Why is the daddy just trying to get in their life now? But let's change our perspective. Instead of focusing on the negative, why is she trying to come in his life now? Let's look at it that now he might have missed 9 years, but look at what, if he can get it right, 9 going on forward, this daddy can now be in your daughter's life. But I like that Angela Patton has a little session with the moms and talks to the moms about the importance of letting this daddy get pushed back into the child's life. So people that work in this field recognize the importance of not just daddy being in the child's life, but also mom got to learn how to let go. Mom got to learn how to acknowledge and understand and be educated to be able to understand that there is some significant importance in daddy being in, you know, daughter and son's life. So if mom can get educated and mom can see that my daughter does do better when daddy is in a positive capacity in their life, I'm gonna go ahead and let daddy get more time in, versus having this preconceived notion that they don't need daddy, or if daddy comes in, it's gonna cause all these new problems. So we change the mindset of the mom. And once mom can understand that the father is such a key piece in this whole spectrum, that I think it'll be easier. So that's just one great thing that they do. But also, I mean, there's a motherhood program for City of Richmond. So there's programs out here that's trying to work on it, but it really is going to take everybody to come together.
Like a nucleus.
And, and parents need to be willing to be educated. A lot of us are just, you know, taking what we learned and generations being passed down. And just because you might think it worked for your grandma or your mom, it don't mean that was the best way to do it. So, and with me, you know, I carried around a lot of trauma from that situation. Not just finding out that my dad, that I thought was my dad, was not my dad. But, you know, we didn't go further in the book, but I didn't find my biological dad till, you know, almost 13, 14 years later. So I got this I get this bomb dropped on me, and I'm confused, I'm feeling abandoned, I'm mad, I'm angry, I'm torn. I got questions in my head, but then 13, 14 years go by, and I don't find my biological dad. So now that anger's building up. And so even though, you know, I was fortunate enough to find him, you think once I find my biological father, everything just cut off? trauma.
Yeah.
Trauma's long, you know, an ongoing thing. And it's long. It goes on for a long time if you don't get help. You know, if you don't learn about trauma, if you don't learn about this thing called the father wound, that's a wound that I was carrying.
Right.
And you're not going to see the wound right here. You know, you're not going to see it. I'm going to be in relationships. I'm going to be being a boyfriend, you know, a brother, a son. But you're not going to see that I got this wound that's affecting how I interact with mom, with girlfriend, with brother, with best friend.
Right.
That's
right.
trauma.
That's trauma.
You know?
So tell our viewers, how did it feel to see your dad for the first time?
Oh, let me tell you, I was 27 years old.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, I might have wrote it in here, but I know I tell people all the time that I turned into a 6-year-old kid when I met him. And I'm all about being transparent. I ain't got time to be hard. And, no, this is real. My dad, you know, when I found my biological father and my mom sent me I spoke to him on the phone. My mom sent me to the hospital where he was working at. My son at the time, he's 9 now, but he was 2 years old. I brought him down to the hospital, had him on my knee, and I'm 27. I'm nervous. You know, I'm shaking, I'm rocking. I got a little man right here. I still don't know what he looks like. All these guys zipping through the hospital. I'm like, is that him? Is that him?
You're trying to see if he looks like me. Did you have something in the picture in your mind, like, I wonder how he looks?
Yeah, I did, but I'm trying to be cool too, because I'm just creating an image, because I don't have a picture.
You don't have enough.
But then the elevator door opened. And this man walked out. He had scrubs on, you know, and he just had this little bop, you know, and I got a little bop, you know what I'm saying?
So you already knew. You already knew.
So he walked in, he's strutting, and he came over there, and as soon as I turned around and I saw his face, I said, that's him. In my mind, I said, I was 100%. I said, that got to be him, because he looked just like me. Just like me. And I just turned into a kid. Like, I was excited. Like, I wanted to.
Did you cry? Or?
I didn't cry right then. I wanted, but the inside of me, I wanted to run and hug him. You know, I wanted to cry, but you know, we trying to, you know, I'm gonna tell you something though. So this how real it is. I tell you about them guys that would be crying in child support. Me and Dad met. You know, we talked. I pulled out this piece of paper and I said, I know you're gonna want a paternity test. I got a list right here because I know I wouldn't want one. Just but
all these many years.
We took this paternity test, and when the results came back, it was 99.999%. Dad took me, he hugged me. When we got those results, we dropped everything. He hugged me, he spun me around. I think he was like, 52, 53. So he had to drop 53 years worth of, being tough, and he turned into a young kid too. And so did I. You think we ain't cry? You think we ain't hug it out? It was tough. It was tough. I mean, it was
and then to know he got a
time.
grandson, it's just, I guess all those emotions for him. Did he ever tell you when he knew and everything? How did he feel?
Well, and y'all gotta get.
Yeah, you gotta get this book. We can't tell you everything. We're gonna talk around the issue, but you gotta get this book.
Quick play. I'm telling you, y'all gotta get my book, Finding Chris, My Father. Written straight out of Richmond, VA. Real story. It's a memoir. So I'm not gonna tell y'all everything, but when I found my pops, he didn't know about me. So it was a blow, a mighty blow. Like I got that blow at 16. He got a blow. And he got a mighty blow dealt to him, and he had to get hit with that blow and just adjust. But he's a stand-up guy, because he could have said, I don't want nothing to do with him. And I'm so glad that he decided to stay and meet me. And once we met and we was able to connect, he's still in my life now. Now I got a positive, role model. I'm still learning from him. And I'm 35, and I'm still learning from him. So his mind was blown. He cried. He cussed. He was confused. Same as me. But we're humans. We can adapt to stuff. It's gonna take a while, but we can adapt. The beautiful thing is divine purpose led us to each other at that age. I used to always say, God, why did this happen to me? Thinking I'm a decent guy. Why would you do this to me? But now I know. How was I gonna write this book?
So, okay. So now we're getting away. We know about the story with your dad. So, what made you want to become an author? Was that in something in your family? Was you had writers before, artistic? Sometimes I have writer's block. I hate doing papers. I got one due Wednesday. But I'm going for my PhD. But what is it? How can you gather the words to say, okay, this is time for me to do a book?
It's gonna sound cliche here, but I'm telling you, if you're a believer in divine purpose, you're gonna hit those marks along that destination. And I'm just being real, y'all. You're gonna get your faith in order. Like once you do that, you're gonna hit them marks. I never in my life had a goal of writing a book. I found my dad. Never thought I'd find my dad. I found him. And then I didn't write the book till 5 years later. Because so it wasn't a plan of mine. Next thing you know, God said, write a book about your journey finding your dad because it's an amazing story. I resisted it. I don't know how to write no book. You know what I mean? But I took a pen and I sat down and just being real with you, then words start flowing. And they started flowing and I don't know how to write a book. But next thing you know, book right here. Like so. Divine purpose, and I think I'm 100% sure God knew what this book would do, not only for me but for the thousands of people that it's touched. And so God's gonna make a way for me to write that book. God gonna make a way for you to do that paper and all kind of things because that's divine purpose. And God knew that. How am I touch all these people if I can't get this book out? So I was just able to put it together. I mean, I had to, of course, do the legwork. You know what I mean?
See, even if you did the legwork, Vince, I mean, to get a publisher to take it, that's another step. That's a great accomplishment.
Well, if you want to get a big publisher and you're not able to do that, then look, that's a barrier.
Right.
So if you can't get that big publisher that you want, Random House or whoever, do you give up? No, you go self-publishing route. So that's what I had to do because...
See, that's why I brought this in there. That's why I wanted you to tell these people. A lot of people don't understand. They thinking, I send these manuscripts out and copyright and none. Okay, hold on, we got a caller. Yes, caller, welcome to Real Talk with Monica. Hello? I can't hear you, caller. Call back. I don't know what happened.
But I mean, I knew that I couldn't, I tried to submit my manuscripts, wasn't working, knew I had a great story, knew I had divine purpose, all that's great, but you run into roadblocks, you run into barriers, but I was introduced to some great people in my life that, by the way, I ended up working with them later on, but I was able to just get it done. I got the book published, and I was able to put the book out myself.
Wow.
And that's what you got to do.
That's inspiring because a lot of people need to know that because they be thinking, hey, I got to send something, and you did it yourself. And nobody told you, but that was a God's plan for you to put that book together, and now you're publishing. And now, before we started the show, you was telling me all these projects you got coming up.
Yeah, so my book not only did well, out there as far as selling, but the book turned into a traveling stage play. Got with some great people. We had the stage play traveling for about 2 years now.
Oh, wow.
So I've done it with, with all kind of different partners, sponsorships. The plays, still moving.
Okay.
I got a new book coming out called Finding Purpose in the Valleys. It's kind of like a follow-up to Finding Chris.
Okay.
Talking about testimonies that came from the Finding Chris process. So, I mean, I got a lot of things going on. I actually, I hate to put my phone up, but I want to, I got to do it because...
You got to self-plug, man. That's what Real Talk do.
I do. Yeah. So, Real Talk, I'm filming a indie film with a great friend of mine, Nakia Cherie, and the movie is called Hostile, fast-paced drama involved in the hostage negotiation of a woman. It's a short film that's adapted from a story from her. She's an Essence best-selling author. We're going to be filming that movie March 20th through March 26th right here in Richmond, Virginia. Also on Fox.
Fox.
Look,
big news, baby.
Your boy Vinny is getting on Fox. So
all right.
March 19th. So March 19th, this book to film is being published by Siri Enterprises, based on a novel by my good friend Iris Bowling. She's also from Richmond, Virginia. Shout
out, VA doing some big things, baby. Go ahead.
Sure. It's called The Heart. It is called The Heart, debuting on Fox March 19th. It has a political backdrop laced with romance, suspense, kind of like Scandal. Y'all watch Scandal all the time. You better watch The Heart, March 19th. So I mean, I sit on the board of the Eastern District Family Resource Center, which is a nonprofit that's serving East End residents. So I'm out there in the trenches, but I'm also in that divine purpose. God's led me to some great people like Nakia, like Iris, that now get me involved with acting, involved with producing, you know, writing more books. And keep in mind, I never thought I could write one book. Now I'm on book number 3. So we rolling.
Yeah,
you know?
I told you, man. I'm telling you, when I saw you that night at Scray, I said, "Who's this guy?" And I told you I apologized for getting late. Real talk, didn't know what time everything was. But I said, this guy is on the move. I could tell. And then I was talking with your friend, and I said, man, you got to be on my show. And just before you even listed all these projects, I already knew. And then I've seen this book cover, and I said, and then I read on there, you was recognized for being one of the top stars in Style Weekly under the age of 40 for doing your thing. And I'm telling you guys, this guy is an up and coming, and like I said, Real Talk is trying to get that train moving myself with my website and a lot of projects that I want to highlight VA and do things with the community. Yeah. And to touch back what you saying about God's purpose and divine, I never thought I would get on this show and do a show, man. I had all these people after me. I took on the government and everything. Went in a lawsuit, had a lawyer that messed my case. It's a mess. And I already got the title of my book.
Give me some.
Already, man. You know, and that gave me hope right there, inspiration. When you told me, hey, you ain't got to buy me up. I went down to New York City just this past weekend. I was looking at all these big skyscraper companies. And I said to myself, it'll be nice. God is planning something for me. And what he said is to do is you have good people to highlight on your show to give back. And then once you get to a plateau with money, fame, you do even more. Right. You do even more.
You be a blessing, and then you're going to get a blessing.
Yes.
So you be a blessing to people, and then in return you get blessed. I wasn't able to get published with the big companies, but with my self-published book, I was able to connect with the right media team and with people, and I got sent all the way to ABC, New York. I went on there, and I touched 3 million viewers about my story about finding my father. So, I mean, it's people that are published that can't get on ABC. When you got divine purpose, y'all, if you don't take anything from this tonight, find your divine purpose, and then you just walk with it. You walk in it. Don't let no barriers stop you. No felonies. You don't have your dad, your mom in your life. You want to do film. You want to act, but you don't know how. I don't know how either, but I'm in a film coming up. I'm in a TV show coming up. So you don't let nothing stop you. You don't give up. And that's the whole book, Finding Chris, My Father, is about perseverance, resilience. I could have let not having my dad stop me. I could have let an incarcerated father stop me, but I'm still here. And because I'm here, God is rewarding me.
You know,
glory
to be to God, guys. That's why I wanted this guy to say that, because too many times that people go through so many obstacles. Like you said, I wouldn't want to walk in that person's shoes. You don't know what shoes that person walks, but you can overcome it.
You can overcome anything.
Yeah, you gotta have faith in God. That's number one. If you ain't got faith in God, man, you already lost. Because when I'm telling you, I ain't even tell you, Vincent. I almost lost my life in 2010, so I know the power of God.
Come on now.
And I heard a loud voice on the right side. He said, "You getting ready to die." Went to the hospital, and my lungs started collapsing. I mean, my temperature went up to 105. Next thing you know, 12 days later, woke up. I was in a medical-induced coma. And the doctors put all these barriers on me. What I ain't gonna do, put me up over Chamberlain, the dialysis center. He did all of that. These doctors said all that stuff. And then I had a conversation with God. I cried like a baby. I said, God, I don't want to go through this dialysis no more. This is painful. This is hurtful. What can you do? And he said 4 things to me. I'll never forget that. And I'm going to make sure I put that in the book. He said, number 1, you're going to know the truth about everything. Number 2, you suffered enough. Number 3, you're going to get off of kidney dialysis. And number 4, you're going to be financially blessed. The only one that ain't come is that financially blessed. And I'm going to tell you, the next day, the doctor cussed, my kidney doctor. He said, we got to stop this. We got to take you off the dialysis immediately. We're not going to put you up in there. Your kidneys came back. 100%.
That ain't nothing but a
That
testimony.
ain't nothing but a God. That's why I try to tell you.
And then what happened is you share your testimony on a show like this. Then you put it in book form for somebody that don't see your show.
Yes.
And then not only that, but the bottom line is you still here.
Yes.
So I mean, it's a beautiful thing.
And you know, I just didn't ever think, just doing this show, I'm gonna meet great people like you. You know? Okay. So, like I said, guys, I want you to continue to support Real Talk with Monica, guys. It's been a great conversation. I want you to tune in on next week. It's gonna be Lock Entertainment, guys. It's gonna be hot.
Yeah.
Hey, what I tell you, Real Talk with Monica is doing it, baby. Continue to support me. That's Real Talk.
One love.
All right. Let's go.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, man.
Thank you very much for having me.
Cop this. Finding Chris, my father. Real Talk of Monica. 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 Real Talk of Monica.